there's a general consensus among the county legislatures, and I think of the residents of Genesee County, that we need a new jail. Parts of the current jail are over 100 years old, and even the most newest area is 30 years old. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done over there. So the consensus is that we should build a new jail. The problem we are facing is we have to find a mechanism to pay for the new jail capital cost. The estimated cost of a new jail could be upwards of $60 million. Our original plan was we were reworking the sales tax agreement with the city of Batavia, which passed both the Genesee County Legislature and the City Common Council unanimously, which would generate enough funds to pay the capital cost of a new jail. After the two bodies passed that legislation, we forwarded it to the state Senate and Assembly, whereupon it was approved by both bodies in the spring session this year. Since that time, mid-June, it has sat on the desk of the Senate President waiting to be called for by the governor's office. They just don't send the legislation over as soon as they pass it. It is sent over when the governor asks for it to be sent over. So that and approximately 500 other bills are sitting in either the president of the Senate's office waiting for the governor to call for it. So without a source of funds to pay for it, which is there, I have recommended to my fellow legislature and received concurrence tonight that we will stop at this point any further work. Currently, we're at approximately 90% of the schematic design is done, and we roughly are 6 to 8 months out before we can go to bids. But without a source of funding, there's no sense going forward. So I will be writing a letter to the correction commissioners, informing them that we are going to be putting a delay in place until we can get a funding source. We have some other options. One, the legislation which is pending is a 40-year agreement. Theoretically, we could take the 1-year sales tax agreement we currently have, extended another 1 year. Another option is to take the 40-year agreement, make it a 10-year agreement, and we believe there's a possibility that the state controller, without legislation, would sign it. But again, we do not know if that's a fact or not. And with all the unknowns with bail reform and discovery and raise the age, there's so many moving parts here. We feel it's best at this time to step back and make sure at least we have the capital funding for the project. The other option we have to pay for a new jail would be to raise the property taxes. But there are a number of issues with that. First, there's a tax cap in place which will not allow that to happen. If we wish to override the tax cap, we could. But we believe at this time there will probably be a requirement to override the tax cap in order to pay the operating costs of the jail, a new jail. So consequently, that really is not an option available to us at this time. So we're kind of really in a hard place. We have made numerous overtures to the governor's office trying to find out what the delay is. I personally have written letters and made numerous contacts. The county manager has written a letter and made contacts, as well as other legislators, all of which has been not fruitful. We have not heard a thing back from the governor's office of what is causing the delay. And with the year coming to a close, we do not want it to turn out to be a pocket veto and then have to scramble to get sales tax collections just for general operating expenses in place for 2020.
So you've got to make sure there's a sales tax, the bind is here, you've got to make sure there's a sales tax agreement in just to be operational. You've got the sales tax agreement that's sitting on the governor's desk. If that's not going anywhere, you still got to get something in place.
Absolutely, because as of right now, there is no sales tax agreement as of January 1st, 2020. So we will need to do something in the next few weeks to make sure we have a sales tax agreement by the beginning of 2020. Now, that will take just a controller's signature. And normally that is not going to be a big problem. I mean, it's a matter of weeks and not months that he would look at and review, particularly if we're just extending the current agreement for one more year.
And the whole premise of funding the jail was built on this 40-year agreement between the city and the town and how taxes would be distributed throughout the county.
That's correct. It's the jail is an integral part of that agreement. There's also portions of that agreement that affect the expansion of the county water systems, etc. But the big thing right now is the jail and funding the capital costs for the jail.